Welcome back to Dad and Daughter Reads, a book club podcast. I'm James, your co-host, and this is episode 25. We're continuing with Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and this week we're covering part 3 of 5, which includes pages 231 through 330. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Miranda, who's here to catch us up on her week and what else she's been reading. Miranda?
Hi. Hello. My week. It was fine.
Okay.
It happened. Not much. Nothing different than my normal going out, hanging out with friends, doing my thing. I got my stitches out yesterday from my thumb, so that's healing, I guess. Still looks a little suspicious to me, but still having to take care of it.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to heal up completely.
Yeah, but it's because yesterday it looked a little sus after you took the stitches out, but then today it already looks a little bit better. So there you go. Yeah, that's about it. Not much reading, I hate to say. I read this portion of Bury Our Bones, I think Wednesday. I think I read it after actually we recorded and was upset to put it down. I wasn't ready to stop at the point that we stopped at. I wanted to keep reading, but I put it down. I didn't keep reading. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to start reading this book called Olga Dies Dreaming, which is by the same author who wrote that book that I read earlier in the year, Anita DeMonte Dies Laughing. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. But my brain has just been have not had the capacity to read this week. It was a little bit of a rough, long week. So yeah, that's about it. I just, I'm rewatching Scrubs. I still haven't caught up on the other shows. My bad. There's just a lot going on this week.
Terrible.
There's just a lot going on this past week. So my brain has just been kind of scattered all over the place. Mercury retrograde, remember what I said, everybody?
Sure.
It's really taking a toll on me. So I'm hoping to come out of that here soon. Hopefully today. I'm going to hang out with friends tonight, and then I have plans this week that should be fun. So yeah, but yeah, that's about it. That's all I have to say. How was your week?
Okay. My week was boring. I did read some stuff. Well, one thing anyway, for the book club at work, we were to read Orbital by Samantha Harvey. I'm the one who suggested it, and it was absolutely awful. I mean, I read half of it and did not finish. That's how bad it was. It was so bad. And everybody agreed that it was pretty bad. I don't get it, because the reason I picked this book is because it won the Booker Prize over James.
Oh.
And it was fucking awful.
What's it about?
So it's about 5 or 6 people that are on the International Space Station, and it just goes through and it just talks about what they're up there doing, and it's like, and it shows it talks about a bunch of things on Earth that you can see from up there. Like, oh, there's Africa and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And there's absolutely no dialogue in the story. It's just all narrative. No dialogue whatsoever.
So is it just boring then?
Yeah. It's boring and an absolute waste of time.
I see.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Here, let me see if I can find it. I may have deleted it already. Sorry, I'm looking for something real quick. I gave it a 0.25.
Oh, wow.
And then I wrote, "It's hard to believe that Orbital by Samantha Harvey not only found a publisher, but somehow managed to win the Booker Prize over James by Percival Everett, a book that was daring, alive, and deeply human. Orbital, by contrast, reads less like a novel and more like a long-form Wikipedia entry about Earth, occasionally dressed up in poetic prose." So yeah, it was pretty bad. No dialogue at all.
Why did you give it 0.25? What was the 0.25 for?
I don't know. I guess because,
You just
the prose was decent. So I had to give it something. I don't think you can give it a 0 anyway.
Oh. But would you have given it a 0 if you could?
Probably. It was so bad. I mean, I was struggling just to get through the first half of it because I had 2 days to read it. So I figured, okay, it's a short book, so I'll read half of it today, half of it tomorrow. And after I read the first half, I got on our chat and I'm like, I can't finish this book, and I am sorry I recommended it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's pretty bad.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I read, other than the book we're reading here, which is really good. And I know you said you didn't like where we stopped it, but I thought it was a good place to stop because we stopped just as Lottie meets Sabine for the first time. So I thought it was a good cliffhanger stop.
Yeah, it's a good cliffhanger stop, but I have no patience and I wanted to keep reading. And so I was upset that it was a cliffhanger. So I was like, well, it's about to get good. We're about to get into the beef.
Yeah, because I think the section we end in is a Charlotte section, which is the first time we have a Charlotte section.
Right.
And it is like 13 chapters long, and we stop on the 4th chapter. So, yeah.
Oh, really? It's 13 chapters long? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, there's going to be some good stuff going on there, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I was just like, I don't want to put this down.
I also did find out that there's 2 other Murderbot short stories. I bought those today. They were like $3 total.
There you go.
I think one of them, I can't find them. Why can't I ever find anything? Yeah, one of them just came out on July 11th. And the other one has been out. One's called Compulsory, which is kind of like the beginning when he first... it's a very short, it's only 8 pages long. It's a very short story about when the Murderbot first hacked his governor module. And then the other one that just came out is, it says Perhelion and its crew embark on a dangerous new mission at a corporate-controlled station in the throes of a hostile takeover. And that's all it says, and it's 34 pages. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what's up with that. I'm excited to read those. So yeah, that's about it. I haven't really watched anything other than old NASCAR races.
Nice.
That's about it for me. Yeah. I will start reading The Phoenix Project soon, which is a book. It's about development, computer programming development, but it's actually a novel about it, but it's like a happened in real life kind of thing that somebody wrote about. And it's kind of about how deploying code and stuff, which is what I do. So it was suggested that I read it. So I'm going to read that next. It's a pretty short book. Shouldn't take me long. Whenever I have time to read, hopefully soon when Ava starts going back to school in a week or 2 here. So yeah. So that's about it for me. All right. Well, let's get into Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, part 3 of 5. But first, let's start with a recap of what we talked about last week in part 2.
Right. Let's do it. So last time we started with Alice, who's feeling terribly sick. A boy at her school, under the guise of trying to help her, begins to start sexually assaulting her. And she attacks him. She blacks out and comes to in the bathroom covered in blood, realizing she ripped his throat out and that she is probably a vampire. Later, she tries to find Lottie, knowing she must have something to do with it, but she can't escape the thirst for blood. She tries to find someone who deserves it and gets in the car with a man who picks her up looking for a good time. She attacks him and drinks his blood. Meanwhile, in 1532, we have Sabine dealing with the same issue. She's been turned and is learning of her sensitivity to daylight, her limitations of crossing thresholds, and her thirst for blood. 10 years later, she meets Hector and Renata, 2 other vampires who take her under their wing. They spend 15 years partying and drinking blood, and Sabine learns about sensing other people's thoughts and emotions. She is weakened by death and sacred ground, and all the different ways a vampire can die, all having to do with destruction of the heart. One night, the 3 of them go hunting, and Hector, who has a thing for drama, kills a priest and a whole church congregation. But unbeknownst to them, one gets away, which leads to the demise of Hector and Renata, with Sabine getting away. In 1679, we find Sabine in Venice, where she meets Matteo, an older vampire who has a human lover, Alessandro, that refuses to be turned into a vampire. And Matteo has the ability to claim any space as his own, therefore creating thresholds. She wants to learn, so she reluctantly agrees to his rules of learning control. He tells her that if she can choose a person to befriend and stalk for 10 days until Lent without drinking their blood, he'll teach her to take space. She accepts the challenge and succeeds, realizing how better the taste and power is. She stays in Venice with Matteo.
All right. Now we are caught up. Moving on, we go into an Alice section here. Chapter 1, Alice takes the train home, feeling the hunger for blood intensifying. She jumps off a stop early and walks the rest of the way because there are people on the train there with her, and that bloodlust was kind of getting to her. Upon arrival, her roommates inform her that a body has been discovered in the yard. It's Colin, the boy Alice killed, the one that sexually assaulted her.
Also, I think it's implied that maybe he was seeing one of her roommates too.
Oh, yeah, it was.
And
Yeah,
that's
he
why.
was dating one of her roommates, and I think at the end of that chapter, Alice says in her mind that she did her a favor.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. All right. Chapter
Also-
2. Go ahead.
I was to say, also, it's so fun for me to read her using the transportation in Boston because I lived in Boston for a summer. So she was like, I got on the T and she was describing all the like stops. And I was like, I know where she is. That's always cool to me. There was one book I was reading too where somebody was in New York City and like she was like, I got on the L train. And I was like, I get on the L train. But anyway, just wanted to say that.
I thought Kramer said you should never get on the L train.
Well, and people still say that to this day. I personally don't ever have too many problems with the L train. It is the stop that is literally right on the block from me, so I use it every day, basically.
All right, moving on. Chapter 2, Alice researches vampires and discovers some clubs that might harbor actual vampires. On her way there, she briefly reminisces about the day her father married her stepmother. So she tries to get into this club. She's underage, but she successfully charms the bouncer to gain entry into the club.
Yes, and the charm is her vampire powers of manipulation.
Right.
It's kind of like Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, which is not a normal vampire trope.
Oh, there you go. It's a different one.
Yeah, it's another one. There's
Well,
many.
in Twilight, they all have different powers. And I don't know if one of them is actually one of them does like sense emotions and can manipulate emotions. I've seen it in a vampire.
Hey. Chapter 3, Alice isn't convinced there are real vampires at this club. She orders a drink that's made to resemble blood, but quickly realizes it's fake and spits it out. A girl approaches and lures her away from the bar, inviting Alice to bite her. Overcome by hunger, Alice gives in. So this is really more like a role-playing kind of bar, right? Where people role-play that they're vampires kind of thing. So this girl isn't really expecting Alice to actually bite her, but she does. But before she can do serious harm, a man intervenes and pulls her off. He leads her out the back of the club, telling her she's in the wrong place. When Alice asks him where to go, he tells her to follow the music, quote unquote, explaining that's simply what he was told to say when someone like her shows up.
Where's she gonna end up?
All right. Then from there, we go into a Sabine chapter. Or Sabine section, rather. Chapter 1. Venice 1709. So now we're 30 years since we last saw Sabine. Sabine, Matteo, and Alessandro have grown close, more than friends. They've kind of become like a family. Sabine often leaves Venice to escape Matteo's rules, seeking freedom in her own adventures. Though she'd never admit it, she does find that she enjoys the hunt more. When Alessandro dies, Sabine is furious that he chose not to be turned. Matteo retreats into grief, becoming unreachable. Unable to pull him out of it, Sabine leaves for over a year. When she returns, Matteo has a new companion, Giovanni, a fellow vampire with a rebellious streak and a clear disregard for Matteo's rules, much like Sabine herself.
Yes, well, and I mean, the only reason why he's a fellow vampire is because Matteo turned him into a vampire.
Right.
Out of grief, because she even says, like, and he kind of looks like Alessandro, like, has similar features.
Right.
So, you know, Giovanni, being a man, and out of grief, turned him into a vampire. pretty irrationally, which is doesn't really seem like Mateo, right? He seems pretty like usually he's got it all put together.
Well, he must have been in some pretty heavy grief, I think.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
He misjudged, made a bad call here.
Yeah, and to the point where I think they even allude to like the possibility of him being petrified because he wasn't like eating or like moving. And I feel like that is something that is a trope of a vampire, right? If they just like stay still for too long, they can petrify. I feel like I've heard or I've seen that somewhere.
I don't know about that one.
I feel like I don't know why or where I would have heard that, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was also in Twilight too. Honestly,
I don't know. That's your entire vampire knowledge is Twilight, apparently.
Well, yes. Well, yes. But I thought that was interesting. I feel like I picked that up somewhere and in the story. She talked about like him petrifying, and I was like, oh, I think that's actually something that vampires can do if they stay still for too long and don't eat. They like petrify.
I've never heard of that trope. Maybe.
Well, I have. But yeah, no. And then I also just like feel like there's grief as a theme in this overall story, since we keep having like flashbacks of Alice and her family and her sister and her mom dying, and now we have this grief here, and we have Alessandro, really talking about death and how he has come to terms with it, and he, wanted to be human. He didn't want to be undead like they are, that there's these natural cycles of life that he wants to live through. So I just thought something I would throw out there, a little grief in the story, grief as a theme in the story, and how it might come back up throughout, and how it kind of parallels. I feel like Alice's story to her backstory with like her dad remarrying and her sister being so upset about it and everything. Oh, I was going to say, and then we have Sabine, who's like crazy and just doesn't really, she killed the person who turned her. She killed her husband. She didn't seem to be very close to her family. So then we've got Sabine, who's just like, doesn't really seem to have the emotional capacity for those feelings. And she can't get Mateo out of it. She's frustrated. So she just leaves.
Right. But I think she does show some feelings here, because she actually ended up liking Alessandro, and she was there for 30 years. And our original theory was that she's probably going to end up killing him, but she didn't.
Right.
In fact, while reading this, I thought she was just going to turn him against his will, to be honest, because she did not want him to die.
Well, and I think too, she's running away from grief, maybe is what it is.
Right.
She's running away from those painful feelings and emotions. It's all kind of like wrapping up, getting intertwined with the stories.
All right, chapter 2, Giovanni embarks on a violent killing spree. When he's discovered with a victim, a mob of Venetian citizens executes him. Matteo later confides to Sabine that if the mob hadn't killed Giovanni, he might have done so himself. Matteo then informs Sabine that he's departing for the Americas and extends an invitation for her to join. She refuses the offer and bids him farewell at his departure.
It is crazy to get on a boat for that long as a vampire.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That's hard. Although he did go a really long time without eating when he was in grief, so I guess he'll be fine. But that's a lot.
So there is also a trope where vampires cannot cross bodies of water.
Oh.
And so I guess that does not pertain to this world.
I don't know. Has he had, maybe this is his first time trying.
What's their names? Hector and Renata had a boat, though, remember?
Oh, yeah, they did.
So, yeah. So they must be able to in this world.
But then I also wonder if we'll see Matteo in America, since we've got Alice and Lottie in America. Is Sabine in America?
I did wonder that, too.
Yeah, so I wonder if Matteo will come back since he went to America. I wonder if he's still running around. I guess we'll find out.
It is possible. Chapter 3, Sabine begins wandering through Europe, adopting the guise of a widow, much like her namesake did. She applies the survivor rules she learned from Hector, Renata, and Matteo. And as the years pass, she increasingly longs for companionship.
Yeah, and also I think just stability. I think she just missed the stability she had in Venice.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, and actually Mateo and her talked about this, I think, in chapter 2, where eventually you're going to have to leave if you're a vampire. You can't stay there because you're never aging, and people are going to be like, "Oh, what the fuck? This guy still looks like he's
I was
30
surprised
years old or whatever."
I was surprised that they stayed there for 50 years.
Yeah, I know.
That's a long time. And then she
was turned at 19, 20.
Right. Exactly.
So she's going to look 19 or 20 still after being there for 30 years.
Right. Exactly. So
yeah,
that's like crazy to me.
Yeah.
That they got away with it for that long. But whatever. But yeah, I think she's craving a bit of that stability as well, just kind of being in one place at one time. And yeah, companionship, but it was interesting too when she was describing it, I think, at the end of this chapter, because she was like, I've always thought about it in my victims, but then they always get scared when I start to eat them, and I'm just waiting for somebody to not be scared.
Right.
This bitch is crazy. She's like, but then they start screaming when I bite them. So they're just not the one. I was like, damn, she's insane. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Chapter 4, London, 1823. Sabine has settled in London. So what is this, like 100 years at this point? Another 120 years that she's been roaming around Europe. She begins playing the game of the hunt during every season. The season is the time when the upper class introduce their daughters to society to find suitable matches. For the first 3 years she's there, she adheres to Mateo's rule of not killing anyone whose disappearance would cause a commotion. But in her 4th year, she decides to pursue one of the young debutantes. She doesn't realize that the girl she selects will mark both the beginning and the end of everything.
And it's gotta be Lottie. Who else could it be?
Of course it is. Well, I was going to move on, so if you got something to say, you better say.
No, I do, because I forgot, and we didn't mention, because in this chapter, she talks about how she took the house of this baroness, I think, who died in her sleep, or at least that's the story.
Right.
And then also,
I'm sure she killed her.
Right, but then also going back to Alice's section with Colin being discovered dead, and they presume an overdose, even though she remembers ripping his throat open and like getting covered in blood. I think Sabine does mention this too at one point, maybe during all of this, that the wounds close up really fast.
Right, as long as they're not overly big or whatever. If it's a normal bite or so, it'll close up. Yeah.
So when we hear that they discovered Colin and she's like, "Oh no," I thought that, I was like, how did it was a gruesome attack, right? Like, but then they say no,
I guess
it was an overdose.
Didn't do enough damage that it couldn't heal quickly.
Yes.
Close up.
Well, yes, exactly. But we didn't talk about that. So I thought that was like an interesting thing, because in that moment I didn't know that because Sabine didn't talk about it yet. So in that moment I was kind of like, oh, interesting. I wonder like how that works, like the wound closing up.
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't know that. Is that a normal thing for a vampire?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying, like, when I read that they were like, oh, like it was an overdose, I was like, oh, damn, she's going to like get away with these things or that's how they're getting away with these things, because it doesn't look like brutal animal attacks, which is like what I would think.
And I think they talked about it with Giovanni. Some of his attacks were so bad that the wounds did not close up. And then that's how eventually the citizens.
Right. That's where it was in the Sabine chapter.
Killed him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because it was noticeable. Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out, that like, yeah, they can get away with these things. And like she died in her sleep because Sabine knows to just like do a little bite and a suck and then it closes up,
Right.
But then you think when they do that, well, back then, no. But if they do the autopsy on Colin, is he going to have blood in his body?
Yeah, probably not.
So I wonder if that will come back up. Like, I wonder if they're like, oh my God, they did an autopsy and his body was drained of blood.
Hmm.
I don't know. Because I was thinking, well, where did the blood go when they do an autopsy on it? And they're like, why is there no blood in him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to find out anything about that. I don't think we're going to even hear anything else about Colin. But that's my opinion. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. So before Sabine meets Lottie, we have an Alice section. Chapter 1, Alice listens for the music she was told would guide her to where she needs to be. She distinguishes organ music and singing, following the sounds to a church. Hesitantly, she enters and sits in a pew listening because she knows the tropes that, you're not supposed to. One of the tropes is they can't even go on holy ground and the crosses and all that jazz. Hmm. But after realizing this isn't the right place, she leaves. On her way out, she walks through a graveyard where the hollowed ground weakens her, causing her to collapse. She struggles to escape the graveyard. Once free, she listens for the music again and believes she finally hears it. Chapter 2, Alice discovers a small coffee shop that matches the music she heard. There, she meets Ezra, another vampire. When she shows him Lottie's picture, he recognizes her immediately. Ezra introduces Alice to Melody, a psychic customer in the shop. After Melody performs a reading, they both see a vision of Lottie at a hotel with a distinctive blue stairway. Recognizing the location, Ezra promptly leaves with Alice to find it. So here we have a little more craziness in this world where it's not just vampires, but we have actual psychics and other things, possibly.
Yeah, he alludes to other types, other people, other monsters that are lurking around this world, which is cool.
Chapter 3, en route to the hotel, Alice reflects on a Halloween party her sister took her to when she was 13. This memory provides deeper insight into Alice's personal insecurities. Afterward, she and Ezra arrive at the hotel, where Ezra smoothly convinces the doorman to let them up. When they get Lottie to open the door, she reveals a shocking truth. She wasn't the one who turned Alice. It was Sabine. So she says Sabine is the one who turned her. I have some theories.
What are your theories?
Well, my first one is I think Sabine is dead at this point. And I think Lottie is kind of like schizophrenic and maybe and took on Sabine's, like she has two personalities and one of them is now Sabine or something.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I mean, how can Sabine have turned her, Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm thinking. It's something like that.
I see.
Just a theory.
I would highly disagree with that. Don't think that's it at all. I don't really know what I think. I mean, to me, like new things keep coming up with like these things that vampires can do. So I don't know if maybe we're gonna, when we find out like what happened between Sabine and Charlotte, if like Sabine cursed her in a way or like made it to where, I don't know. I don't think that she's schizophrenic, or unless she just is like, or unless she just blames Sabine for it all in the first place.
Right. That's a possibility too. And that's probably makes a little more sense than mine.
She just blames Sabine for being a vampire and this happening in the first place. Also, right. It's also when she opens the door, like Lottie is like, with another girl and they're like hooking up, and this other girl has been bitten and has blood dripping down her. So I'm like, Is Lottie eating her or is she turning her too? Does Lottie know what she's doing? Like, it's crazy. But then this guy, Ezra, is also like, Lottie wouldn't do that. Lottie doesn't do that. Lottie wouldn't do that. So then that just makes me wonder, like, I think maybe I also thought, like, is Sabine, like, kind of following her and stalking her? And
that was another possibility.
Sabine came in and was like, I'm going to turn all of your lovers into vampires and ruin your life. And so she came in while Alice
that was another thing I thought of.
That.
Right.
So I think it would be more of that. I don't think that Lottie is schizophrenic.
Okay. Well, I thought about all of those possibilities too, but I wanted to go with the most crazy one.
Okay.
In case it's right.
See, I feel like I get nervous with that one because then it makes it sound like women are crazy, and I don't think that this author would do that. because
True.
she's very lesbian, pro women, lesbian pros. So I, so that's the only reason why I'm like, let's take a step back because it sounds like you're calling women crazy, and I don't like that.
Okay, well, it could be anyone. It could be a man that's crazy.
Men can be schizophrenic. You're right.
Yeah, they can. So
That's right. My heart goes out to all the schizophrenic men out there. But anyway, all that to say, I knew Lottie and Sabine had beef, and I'm very excited to find out what their beef is. And I am very excited to find out what happens between the two of them, because I think it's going to be very, very, very dramatic, and it's going to be super crazy lesbian stuff, because lesbians are very dramatic. And so I'm very excited for that drama.
lesbians are very dramatic. That seems like a
They are.
stereotype.
Well, I know a few lesbians, and they would all agree with me.
Okay.
In fact, one of my coworkers I was talking to the other day is lesbian. She was telling me all of her stories of being a lesbian, and I was like, that sounds insane. And she was like, it is. Lesbians are crazy. And I was like, you guys really are. But then I told her all of my straight people stories, and I was like, and that's what I deal with as a straight person. And she was like, that sounds terrible. So we all have our struggles.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about the struggles of being a middle-aged white man.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Yeah, I can't. There aren't any.
In the middle of our lesbian vampire story, let's hear how hard it is to be a middle-aged white man.
I know, it's so hard.
With schizophrenia.
It's so hard. It's like the billionaire that owns In-N-Out burgers. It's so hard for her in California. She has to move to Tennessee.
Oh my God. Terrible. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. All right, moving on in the book. We now go to a Charlotte section, and it's titled Charlotte, and her death is in 1827. And here we are, Chapter 1, London, 1827. Charlotte arrives at Clement Hall, her Aunt Amelia Hastings' home. She has been sent there after causing a scandal with another girl, likely suggesting a romantic entanglement. Her family has dispatched her to her aunt with the expectation that Amelia will transform Charlotte into a quote-unquote proper young lady.
Yes, so we have some big similarities here with Lottie and Sabine already. So Lottie's been sent to this other place, and now she has to learn how to be a proper woman in society, just like Sabine had to do.
Right.
And Lottie's feeling a little trapped.
All right, Chapter 2. 2 weeks prior to this, Charlotte meets with Jocelyn, who has taken her journal. While attempting to retrieve it, the journal falls and they tumble onto each other. Charlotte kisses Jocelyn, and at that moment, Charlotte's brother witnesses the scene. Their father, following close behind, demands to know what's happening. James, her brother, covers for Charlotte with a lie. Later, during a private conversation, James reminds Charlotte that she will eventually need to take a husband, a notion Charlotte thoroughly despises because she's also a lesbian, as we already know.
Yes, she likes girls. Yeah, that conversation with her brother was so sad because he was like, you have to remember we're not equal. And he even says like, yes, we are equal in mind, intellect, and all that. Yeah. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's a man and she's a woman. And he was like, and yeah, I have certain freedoms that you don't have, but I also am going to have to get married one day too. Like, that's just the rules. So it was very sad conversation. Right. And you can tell that her brother does, sort of have her back, but at the same time, these rules and restrictions.
You just have to play by the rules of that time.
Yeah, and it's easier for him to play by those rules because he's a guy. He's a dude.
Right. Dudes have it so easy.
Yeah. Must be nice.
All right, Chapter 3. In the first half of this chapter, Charlotte accompanies her aunt and her aunt's wards to a ball. She's tightly cinched in a corset and can barely breathe. And then the second half, we flash back to a week earlier when her father informs her that she will be spending time with her aunt in London.
I said, and this was like her brother's idea, right? He pushes it kind of onto her dad. I said, silly of her brother to think that sending his lesbian sister to a place full of single girls was a smart move.
Right.
So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I know what'll force you to realize you need to play by society rules. Let me send you into a room full of beautiful women. Crazy.
Yeah, but Aunt Amelia will straighten her up.
Yeah, it's like conversion camp.
Yeah. Pretty much what it would be like. Yeah, I'm sure. All right, chapter 4. Charlotte is at the ball, lurking in the background, much like Alice at the party. Sabine approaches her and strikes up a conversation, pointing out various attendees and their social standings. Their chat continues until a young man interrupts to ask Charlotte for a dance, and that's where we end.
That's where we end, and they're just flirting up a storm. Sabine is really after her. Yeah. Sabine is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this pretty little young thing."
Yeah, because when she actually first meets her, Charlotte is thinking in her head about all the boys there, and Sabine comes up and says something about it because she was reading her thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and even when Sabine kind of like picks her out before in her like last chapter, right? She's like, I can tell, like she wants, like she's like I can sense the needing to escape, the needing to be free, and I'm like, yeah, girl, that was you. You better be careful, because obviously, like they're both very, very, very similar. So I guess she's gonna be the one that Sabine bites, and she doesn't scream.
Yeah. Apparently so.
And she's like, yes, bite me. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be it's going to be a little interesting little thing. And I don't think Sabine, I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be a little tumultuous for Sabine as well. You know, very different, very new for her. So I'm excited about the drama. I really didn't. I really wanted to keep reading.
I'm sure there's going to be lots of drama between the two of them as the next, I think there's 9 more chapters of this section alone. So should be good.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. But for now, that's it for this week's episode of Dad and Daughter Reads, a book club podcast. Thanks for sticking with us as we tackled part 3 of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Next week, we'll be diving into part 4 of 5, covering pages 331 through 434. So read ahead and meet us back here for more drama, more blood, and probably more questionable decisions. In the meantime, come chat with us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, or in our Discord. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening and happy reading.
Our intro music is Upbeat Funk, performed by Mikhail Smusev, and our outro music is Lo-Fi Chill, medium version, performed by Bodan Kuzmin. You can find both tracks on pixabay.com. Thanks for joining us, family, and we'll see you next week.